The Red Giants were throughout 90 minutes fearless against the much fancied Thai champions. Very few teams managed to go away from Buriram Stadium with even at least a point, let alone 3 in the bag. But among the visiting teams that have visited the Buriram Stadium in recent years, Selangor were probably one of the least fancied teams to expect to take anything out of this match. They even did something that Johor Darul Takzim failed to do last season in the AFC Champions League Elite. Selangor nearly pulled off the improbable. They nearly caused the biggest upset in just the first match day of this edition of the ASEAN Club Championship Shopee Cup, when they nearly upset defending champions Buriram United at the Buriram Stadium in their Group A opener earlier tonight. However, it was not to be, agonizingly so close yet so far for Kazuhito Kinoshi's Red Giants, as Buriram once again showed why they were the comeback kings of Southeast Asia, as they managed to snitch an injury time header from Peter Zuch to secure a share of the spoils at the final whistle. So agonizingly close, yet so far just only a point to show for what is the Red Giants' best performance of the season yet. The Japanese head coach Kinoshi deserves full credit for getting not just his boys ready for this campaign with an expected congested fixture schedule, but also in the way how he prepared his players pre-season, and also how they have, you can say, finally gotten their 2025-26 season going with a performance level, with the fitness levels, with the concentration levels that would have satisfied this demanding Japanese head coach, who has already now proven that outside of Johor Darul Takzim, that opening defeat, Kinoshi has continued the streak of delivering results when it mattered. The Red Giants were throughout 90 minutes fearless against the much fancied Thai champions. Very few teams managed to go away from Buriram Stadium with even at least a point, let alone 3 in the bag. But among the visiting teams that have visited the Buriram Stadium in recent years, Selangor were probably one of the least fancied teams to expect to take anything out of this match. They even did something that Johor Darul Takzim failed to do last season in the AFC Champions League Elite: score at the Buriram Stadium itself. That came in the 38th minute when this season's new signing Chirigo Morales, who has already hit form, scored the opening goal after 30 on the 30th minute, when Noah Lyon put him through on goal. And they held on, they hung on, they fought, they battled. 5 yellow cards or even 6, it did not matter for the Red Giants or Kazuhito Kinoshi. It showed a testament of the Red Giants' commitment to the cause of flying the Malaysia flag high in the Southeast Asian club competition. And now, going further ahead, Tanyaja breaks down on what makes Selangor tick to almost achieve a famous upset, something that their Malaysian rivals Johor Darul Takzim failed to do last season. So when we look at Selangor's starting 11 against Buriram, Kinoshi actually opted to restore his strongest possible lineup, anticipating a tough game against the Thai champions. Kalamullah Al-Hafiz returns in goal after Scott Somerville was given his chance against the Malaysian University over the weekend, and in what is perceived to be a back five, He has a back three of the usual back three of Sharul Nazim, Richmond Anka, and Muhammad Abua Nadi, and with Quentin Cheng and Kevin Buriram as the right and left wing backs respectively. Holding the midfield is Noah Lain and Noor Al Abde, and supporting Chirigor up front were the front trio were the two wingers of Captain Faisal Halim, the only player who kept his place from the weekend's starting 11 ahead of in this match, and Zach Clough, the impressive Australian new import this season. Yeah, so it's quite clear that Kinoshi is looking at achieving a balance between defensive solidity against what he anticipates that the Thai champions, although they are slow starters, but as the game goes on, especially when they're stung as it's so, as we all saw from the match, that Selangor will be packed back heavily under intense Buriram pressure, and also achieve that, as I said, the fine balance between the defensive side, which I mentioned, and providing the attacking thrust with the wingbacks of Kevin Buriram and Quentin Cheng providing support to Faisal Halim, Zach Clough, and to provide that, you can say, the attacking thrust alongside the lone striker of the evening, Chirigor. And Chirigor has something to prove coming into this game. Having been released by the Thai champions at the end of last season, Selangor snapped him up in anticipation of what would be a very tough campaign, and already the Brazilian has already repaid the Malaysian club's faith in him by scoring, if I'm not wrong, 1 goal in the league in their 3-0 win over DPMM in the second Malaysian Super League game of the season, and also with Kevin Buriram, who actually scored a brace in that same match as well at the Petaling Jaya Stadium. Now, with such a balance of the attacking thrust, it was left a lot for the wingbacks and the wingers to provide the bursts of energy going forward. And fortuitously, Buriram actually had made massive changes to the lineup that narrowly defeated Lampung Warriors in their opening Thai League 1 title defense game away on Saturday as well. So with their usual stalwarts, that Thiraton Bumantam, Supachai Jaidet, Supanat Mutena, and a few other key players on the bench, it was left to the likes of Chachai Puprom, the veteran goalkeeper who has shown his reflexes in helping Buriram win the ASEAN Club Championship last season, Guilherme Bisoli, Peter Zuch, who were part of the core of the Thai side that reached the quarterfinals of the ACLE apart from winning the ASEAN Club Championship last season, and as well as seeing Sandy Walsh making his Buriram debut after signing on a free transfer following his release from Japanese club side Yokohama F Marinos. And with quite a decently high quality lineup from the Thai hosts, despite making a number of changes, perhaps there was still a bit of settling in for these new signings to blend together, to work together, to see how they were supposed to work. And their uneasiness, I wouldn't say their uneasiness, but more like the lack of cohesiveness was already quite evident, because Buriram have only played one competitive game before tonight's game, while Selangor are already into their 4th match of the season. And that cohesiveness and also the good fortune of having their legs rested over the weekend ahead of this test gave the visitors a good advantage. And it showed actually in the opening minutes, Zach Clough coming real close with a direct free kick when he curled it just over from outside the box. Then on the 24th minute, that lack of cohesiveness from Buriram was evident actually when a miss header allowed Quentin Cheng to burst through on the right and deliver a cross for Al Rabade, whose shots inside the box had to be blocked by a Buriram defender to prevent the visitors from converting their ascendancy into an opening goal. And credit to Kinoshi for ensuring that his backline remained stout for much of the first half, as Buriram struggled to get into gear to click. Even though they had their few moments, the one time that Buriram managed to overrun the Selangor backline was where they had a cross where Sandy was given a good opportunity to head inside the box, only for Abor Nadi to actually head it away to clear away from danger. That was to be Buriram's so serious attempt at goal in the first half. And Selangor were rewarded for their persistence in the 30th minute when with a move starting from Cheng, he actually squared the ball to Noah Lion, who actually delivered the through pass for Trigor to get a yard past his marker Cole to slot to power home the opening goal of the game. And from there on, actually, Selangor were able to continue to keep that momentum until the end of the first half. The tide actually began to turn for Selangor, where in the first half they were organized, they were structured, and they were able to provide key moments, particularly in their effective transitions from midfield to the final third, with initially Zach Clough providing the early thrust before Quentin Cheng, Kevin Diora and Faisal Halim providing the later threats from down the flanks, and with Trigor proving more than a handful for the Buriram defense to handle. Trigor clearly being up to the task after having coming back to Buriram Stadium, having to prove a point that the club made a mistake of letting him go despite scoring a decent number of goals in the 2024-25 season before he was sent out on loan to other clubs midway through the campaign. And so it proved that when Selangor were able to get everything together and were able to follow what Kinoshi had wanted, not just from a tactical point of view, but also from a commitment level, also from a physical level of exertion, stamina, the energy that was needed, the high levels of concentration needed to focus against a top level Southeast Asian club that was still capable of punishing any lapses in defense. That first half was clearly the best 45 minutes Selangor had produced in the all-round display in this still very young 2025-26 season. Now, at halftime, Buriram made a couple of key changes, introducing their danger man Supana Mutena off the bench alongside with Peter Zuch, who combined with his brother Robert Zuch, both of whom are Austrian internationals. Peter, who had been in the Thai club last season and was a central character behind their quadruple sweeping campaign domestically, and as well as reaching the ACLE quarterfinals and winning the ASEAN Club Championship last season. He was there to provide that trust that was somehow the edge, that burst that was actually quite lacking from the hosts in the first 45 minutes. And so it showed. Those two changes at halftime clearly boosted the home side as they actually turned on the engine. They actually upped the ante from what they had been sorely lacking in the first half. And Selangor actually spent much of the second half on the defensive and being under sustained pressure by the defending champions. But huge credit to once again to the Red Giants. The second 45 minutes were not as spectacular as the first half, but once again, in a different style, in different fashion, the Red Giants were able to actually they were willing enough to put their bodies on the line to push themselves to the limit. Even when they were tiring towards the end of the game, they were still charging. I wouldn't say charging, they were actually pulling all stops in their, you can say at times, frantic attempts to prevent Buriram from getting the equalizer in the full night, the regulation 90 minutes. And also a shout out to Alvin Fortes, who actually came on for Faisal midway in the second half. He put in a rather notable defensive display, and that it was despite him actually being smart enough to concede a foul outside the box rather than giving away a penalty. Although he was also actually correctly fortunate that it was a bounce that hit the ball to the arm rather than him trying to deliberately deflect the ball out for a corner. In the closing moments of the game, when Peter Zuch felt that he was supposed to have a penalty for what he saw as a handball, as was what the Buriram crowd were also feeling. But fortunately, the South Korean referee held firm, and Selangor got away with that. And you can say that the good performances by the Red Giants also needed a slice of good fortune as well. Because without good fortune, you can't get away with even just 1 point from what is considered as one of the most formidable home grounds in Thailand, let alone Southeast Asia. And that was where you can say that Kalamullah really stepped up in the second half, making huge saves actually to deny Supachai in the 74th minute. Let me see. In the 56th minute, he already had denied Bisoli. Then in the 74th minute, another big save by him to deny Supachai Jadet. Then the double save in the 70th minute to deny Supana Mutena and Bisoli again from the follow-up to concede a corner. And even when Kalamullah was well beaten at times, there was, how do I put it? There was Harif Haikal to tank on the 12th minute of added time. But beforehand, Selangor also had the good fortune of seeing a shot. You can say Guilherme Bisoli, a power driver from outside the box that whizzed past the right side of goal. Yeah, it was really an all-out siege at the Selangor goal. And the Selangor defense really held it out almost to the end. Then they also had Robert Zuch, his attempt off a square pass from Supanat, where it hit the inside post, and fortunately for the Red Giants, out of the goal line in the 69th minute. And the Red Giants tried to hang on to live the day as much as they could. And even a penalty call was turned down, fortunately, after the review from the virtual assistant referee. The Buriram fans may not be happy, but they were not to be denied. Unfortunately for the Red Giants, Buriram were not to be denied in the 6th minute of injury time when Peter Zuch headed home at the near post, and there was nothing Kalamullah can do. Kalamullah was nearly beaten again in the 12th minute of injury time, when second half substitute Tirton Bumanton, who is known for his wicked set piece delivery, especially his free kicks from his trusted left foot, he was whipping in a curling direct free kick that from the right corner edge of the box that was dipping into goal. Fortunately for Selangor, Harif Haikal was there to make sure that Selangor make their final stand count. And as a result of this heroic action from Harif Haikal, where he headed out that curling free kick with his goalkeeper well beaten. If he had not been there, it would have been game over. A travesty for Selangor for all their efforts they have put in, not just in the display with the ball, but also with their gallantry by putting their bodies on the line time and again to frustrate, to deny Buriram as much as possible on what they were capable of. Even especially as Osman Laos kept throwing his big guns in towards the end of the game. And with that, Selangor were able to come away with a share of the spoils. A well-earned 1 point. That could have been 3 points. But still, I do see it as a point well earned from the Red Giants' endeavours, from their valiant display, their best season of their best performance yet this season. And I think this is something that Kazuhito Kinoshi and his men can be proud of and should be able to build upon as they continue this journey this season towards eventually in more domestic competitions, as well as the ACL2, where they seek to reach the knockout phase of an Asian club competition for the first time in over a decade. And given their performance against Buriram, I will never rule out Selangor under, as long as Kinoshi is in the hot seat, Selangor being able to actually deliver when it counts, being able to push themselves over the line to finish in the top 2 of their group, even though their odds, although they are drawn into a group of death where it's an all Southeast Asia encounter, if they are able to match that in that all ASEAN group of death in the ACL2, in a way, the sky is the limit for the Red Giants. And who knows, Kinoshi may end up being the first Selangor head coach in more than a decade to be able to reduce the league gap between them and Johor Darul Takzim to just a single digit difference. It is always going to be an uphill task, but given Kinoshi's continued record of delivering results, save for that 0-3 humbling at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium on the opening day of the domestic season on 8th of August, the sky is the limit. And I think having come away from Buriram Stadium, one of the toughest home grounds in Southeast Asia, they would bring that confidence of being able to deliver into the rest of the season, especially in the first half of the campaign at least, provided much of their squad continue to stay healthy, to be injury free, and also for Kinoshi to be able to rotate his lineup where possible, so that his key players and Captain Faisal Halim will be available when he needs them in the ASEAN Club Championship and the ACL2, and as well as the crucial games in the Malaysian Super League. And having previously said in the video about those banana skin games that Kinoshi would be facing this month prior to the start of the season, so far he has already passed 2 out of the 3. Johor, expected not so much, but Buriram coming away with 1 point is almost as good as a win, although Kinoshi would probably have expected 3 points. Then the DPMM game, where they were comfortable home winners at home with a 3-0 win. So left Terengganu, and I think Kinoshi and his coaching staff can look forward to a few more good months ahead for the rest of this calendar year before they switch the focus to the second half of the season in 2026.